Whoa, what's good with your YouTube and YouTube bust? It's your boy Triple Cup Chuck and I'm up. And I want to say thank y'all for coming to my channel where we focus on Marvel, DC, comic books, anime, video games, and more. So this whole debacle with Spider-Man leaving the MCU because of Sony and Disney, it got a lot of blending to go through. And I had a theory that I said Spider-Man 3 would be called Spider-Man Home Alone, or should it be called Spider-Man Homeless? I want y'all to leave a comment below, and you can say homeless or you can say Home Alone, whichever title that you would think that'll be the better one. Well, since y'all came into this perfect blend of environment of video game and live action movies, we're gonna go diving into this here. Let's go.
Feel it right, told Chuck, I feel like every night is all night. I'm up, double cup, feel it right, told Chuck, I feel like every night is all night. I'm up, double cup, feel it right, told Chuck, I feel like every night is all night. I'm up, double cup, feel it right, told Chuck, I feel like every night is all night.
Oh shit, Triple Cup, he on one. He ready to go ahead and get the diving into this thing. Y'all ready to dive with me? So let's go ahead and dive all the way back to the beginning. Well, all the way to the beginning of time where we had a collaboration with Sony, Marvel, and a symbiote to make a Marvel Spider-Man game. Now, when it first was announced, Sony was titled it Spider-Man PS4, which tagline, that's what they people still to this day call it. Now, in action with Sony, Marvel, and a symbiote. Now, the whole situation was Marvel Studio came to Sony about they wanted to bring Spider-Man into the MCU because it was going to be a fan thing for the people to be able to see Spider-Man finally in the MCU next to Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Captain Marvel, and etc. All of the Avengers. Everybody wanted to see this. It was one of those moments where in history that we'll never see again unless they come to another agreement. Now with me, I was breaking it down from the beginning. With the video game situation was Sony owns PlayStation. PlayStation has developers that make games for them, and they put out these single player exclusive games that's hot, like God of War, Last of the names can go on for days. I'm more of an Xbox person, but I will admit, when it comes to the single player exclusive games, if you're a fan of that, the PlayStation is the console for you. I always say PlayStation is the console for the people that get immersed into single player experiences, and Xbox is the console when you want to play multiplayer experiences. No hate on neither company when it comes to this thing. It's just your preference. Some people like both of them, so they get both of them. Some people only like one select, and some people are sheeple. Sheeple mean they follow. So if they follow you, they gonna know you get this here, they follow you. That's where they go. But that's not neither here or there. This scenario is about the whole concept about what really happened. Now, back in the beginning, what I was saying was Marvel came to Sony about acquiring the Spider-Man to put him into the MCU. Now they had to work up a contract for this. Now it was a two picture deal with Marvel. You know, they was gonna do all of the work, the groundwork of the plot, the story, how the thing go. Kevin Feige was gonna oversee and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They still had some mess up parts, because y'all remember on Spider-Man, that first one, when they announced the date at the very beginning, they misdid the time, so they kind of messed up the time. But they was explained that there was a technical error and stuff like that. Everybody overlooked it. We understood that that wasn't the right year that they put up them. So that was not a Marvel thing, that was the Sony thing. So that was the first thing that they end up going back and forth about. But what I was noticing was when they first came to him, now Sony wanted to make an exclusive Spider-Man game to be included into this situation. So therefore, because see, Marvel owned all of the merchandise and the video games and everything that got to do with any Marvel character. Like Spider-Man, we specifically talking about him. So when you see a Spider-Man video game, a Spider-Man toy, a Spider-Man pop, all that's Marvel. Nothing to do with Sony. So with the video game, Sony wanted to do a video game strictly for Spider-Man. So with a symbiote would be the best contender that was not a part of Sony Studios at that time. So Sony used them as a second part studio to make a Spider-Man game for them under the contract where they was letting the movie rights Spider-Man go to the MCU. So now the MCU, as in Marvel, had to put in a contract where they was able to make a solo Spider-Man movie. That's when they were first announced. Sony came out and they announced it as saying Spider-Man PS4. And after that, Marvel came back and said that's not the title. The title is Marvel's Spider-Man that's exclusive on PlayStation. That's the title. But people still say Spider-Man PS4 for short. I understand because I would say the same thing my damn self. But with that being said, with Spider-Man being over there and the whole contract with the whole Marvel studio to put him in the MCU, after the first movie and the second movie, they're supposed to come back and renegotiate a deal. Now, the deal was consist of if Spider-Man would hit over $1 billion, which it have, that they will take the deal and they'll negotiate for another deal for the next two Spider-Man movies that was featuring Tom Holland. Tom Holland. So now Marvel came back and said, okay, we gave y'all these first two. We gave y'all our best producer, Kevin Feige, to bring out the Spider-Man, and he helped y'all movie become the #1 Spider-Man movie of all times that came out of Sony. And to even exceed that, it became the #1 Sony movie of all time with Kevin Feige. So now they say, look, we show y'all our worth, what we can bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? We could actually bring Spider-Man to a better universe and have him even more popular, and people would love him better in the MCU. So when Fox came back and it was renegotiating the deal, they wanted to renegotiate and say, we'll give y'all the same deal. Now, everybody keep talking like, oh, it's not Sony, it's Marvel. It's Marvel that's messing up the deal. Now, I don't see nothing wrong with the first deal. I see everything wrong with the first deal. Spider-Man would have never did what it did without Marvel. That's first and foremost. So Marvel said, hey, can we get a cut of that? We showed you what we can do. We came and we gave y'all a rock bottom deal. Let's say when somebody say they sell drugs, right? When they sell you drugs, y'all already heard this. The first hit is always free. But then now you got to come back and pay for it because it was good. If you want some more of this here, you got to pay for this here. Same scenario. The stuff do not change. I don't care if it's on a business scale, a street level, whatever you look at it. The situations do not change. Once they made their agreement, they did that. Now it's time to renegotiate a contract with an actor. If he make a hit movie, and then they come out with another sequel. Now his name is known. Next time for renegotiating of a contract, he want more money. Why? Because he's worth more money. He showed his worth. He worked for it. He got it. So now Sony have the opportunity to make another great Spider-Man movie, or they either to let this movie go to shits. Because I know they say that we had a little say so over the Venom movie, but we really didn't. Well, I ain't gonna say we. I'm gonna say Marvel really didn't with Kevin Feige. So when I seen that, I was like, okay, well, cool. They trying to put it out there like they did this and they doing that because they wanted to cross over Venom into the Spider-Verse, but they had to keep them PG-13. All that is a bunch of left and right, he say, she say type of thing. That don't have nothing to do with the scenario. What the real scenario, the ground root where everybody is missing is Marvel is willing to work with Sony. Sony want to work with Marvel if they use them as slaves. That's it. So people saying, oh, well, Sony don't want to change up their deal. They still want to do the same thing. They leak the information. But who in a right mind gonna give up Kevin Feige to work on a project they did not making no profit on, so they can make they make their best properties for another company, $1 billion franchises. Plus, Marvel have all of the Fox properties now they have to worry about, and on top of Spider-Man that they don't get no profit off of. So you think they're gonna really have to put their focus and effort into that? No, I mean, just business wise they can't. It's impossible. It don't make no logical sense. So what Marvel saying to make this make logical sense, because our directors, workers, and everybody else that's under Marvel Studio, parent company of Disney, have to get paid for what they work and do. So we need a bigger budget, bigger cut. And to make this more doable, we will pay for half of everything, and not just the Spider-Man movie. We willing to pay to help y'all make a better Morpheus movie that I'm thinking is going to be shit. If Marvel will help put this out there, I would actually give it a shot. I think it'll have a chance. And with all these other different movies that Sony is coming out with, and Sony is actually needs help. Now let's go ahead and get to what I think about with Insomniac, because y'all know that Sony has recently inquired Insomniac Studios. So for all of my Xbox family out there, we might not get another Sunset Overdrive. I'm sorry, it's not. It don't look good for the Oski Woski. I mean, I would love to see a Sunset Overdrive 2, and the only thing I would like to see different in the game is being able to play online multiplayer and run around the world and fight each other. So with that being said, maybe we might never see another game from them. And on top of that, a Spider-Man 2, Marvel Spider-Man PS4 sequel. Even if it be multiplayer, I seriously doubt that we'll see another one, just because of the stipulations that occurred with the Marvel studio and Sony studio. So now what I'm thinking was going to end up happening is Marvel is seeing the situation, and they actually is trying to dip their feet into this video game industry just as well as DC. So when I seen that, when they might have to end up doing is when they come out with another Spider-Man game, they will have to take it, and it's going to be multiplayer. And I ain't talking about just regular multiplayer with Xbox and PlayStation. It's going to be Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. Because Marvel is actually trying to get into this video game industry, and they pushing hard. That's why we're going to have this Avengers game. They have the Switch game that's coming out there. You have the Spider-Man PS4, which was a deal that actually the Marvel game was supposed to be multiplayer, but by Insomniac and Sony with the deal, they end up making it exclusive so they can get the rights to Spider-Man. So now they have to rework a deal completely out. Since they had to change one scenario, they got to come back and rewrite that. The first one is not going to work. They're going to come to an agreement. So everybody that's Chicken Little, the sky is falling, one thing, they're going to come up with an agreement. But for here right now, they got to come up with they got to write up a new blueprint, another blueprint of how they're going to do this here. And what I'm thinking they're going to end up doing is they're going to X out this whole video game crossover that they doing with Sony. They crossing over with the MCU. So they're going to take that and they're going to renegotiate a deal. And then the next Spider-Man game that Marvel make is going to be multiplayer. Now, the bad thing about it is Insomniac made one of the best Spider-Man games since Shadow of Spider-Man of all time. So now we might not get them to make the sequel because Sony has required Insomniac Studio, which I thought they would like being, by themselves. They didn't like no parent company, but things change, money talk, bullshit. Wow, y'all know how it go. They probably put an offer up there they could not refuse, especially with the numbers Spider-Man Marvel PS4 game did. So of course they're gonna try to acquire them, and they probably had the money to put up there for them to actually get this company so they could be working on other projects. Now, they might not be working on the next Spider-Man movie, but who knows what the Insomniac gonna bring for PlayStation. But with that being said, I'm looking at what could Marvel Studios do, because I seriously doubt they're gonna renegotiate a deal with the video game aspect of it when they talk about this movie industry. Now Marvel see that they have leeway and they have a way to negotiate a better deal than them getting nothing, because Sony was getting 100% of this movie while Marvel was just only getting the merchandise and stuff like that. They was giving Kevin Feige a little piece of the opening weekend, or they was somebody they wanted to add a little piece of the opening weekend, but that would not amount to what they making off of this Spider-Man movie that's done by Marvel, and it would not make that much money if it wasn't done by Marvel. So Sony will come back and negotiate a deal, because the last Spider-Man movies that they came out with, it wasn't that good. It was okay. I mean, it was a Transformer make a bait ass movie. I will admit to that. Jamie Foxx was shit. I always say, when I see Jamie Foxx, the only character I can see him playing in the MCU is Mr. Sinister. Take that, run with it, that's free. I don't need that information. Look at him, look at his character, how he carries himself. He would be a perfect Mr. Sinister. I have a lot of characters I see that. I may do my top 10 who I think should play this particular character. And if y'all like that, I want y'all to put comments below who y'all think, who would y'all like to see as a character, who would y'all like to see as Norman Osborn, who would y'all like to see as a new Dr. Ock, because the last Dr. Ock on Spider-Man 2 was magnificent. So we're going to have to take another route. And another thing too, while I'm putting it out there, I'm thinking they're going to take the route of the Spider-Verse and use Doc Ock, and they're going to gender swap him. I really think they're going to do a gender swap on Doc Ock for this next one. I mean, just hear me out. this time, this era, they trying to balance, they rebalancing everything. So by rebalancing, we get a couple of changes, and I think that would probably be one of the changes that we get that wouldn't be too critical, that would change anything. So I think that's one of the things they'll do. And I mean, I have no problem with when they change things when it makes sense or it don't have that big of an effect on it. Like with Doc Ock, his history is not going to affect the overall arc of Spider-Man, and it will not affect the overall arc of the MCU. They could still implement those things. So I'm more curious and concerned to see how they're going to do that. But the only good thing that could come out with Spider-Man strictly being back a Sony property is he being reintroduced with the Venom verse or the Spider verse or whatever verse they would like to call they verse that they have over there with their horror movie stuff with Venom, Carnage, and Morpheus, and whatever else they would like to bring out. And that bring me up to another thought. I'm not 100% sure, but I think Kraven the Hunter is one of those properties where both can use, like how they had with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, that he was able to be a part of the MCU and he was able to be a part of Fox. I mean, not Fox, Sony. So I think that they have certain characters that draw the line like that. So hopefully that would not mess up no Kraven the Hunter, because Kraven the Hunter would be one of those people that I would love to see in a Black Panther 2, especially how they was talking about reintroducing him, having him from a lost tribe of Wakanda, which they should not say a lost tribe of Wakanda. They should just say he was exiled from a tribe from Wakanda that's already established, because if they try to establish another tribe, that's going to look a little bit too shoehorned in, because at the beginning of Black Panther, they talked about all of the tribes, who was this and who was that. So if they bring in another one, they're going to say, oh, well, we left out this other tribe that we exiled out of the Wakanda. Now, nah, because if they did that, then Wakanda would have been exposed, because if you would have exiled them, what would stop them from saying, hey, they have a technological advancement that's over here, go see what's going on? I mean, they could have pushed the issue. So I seriously doubt that they do the exile tribe. I just hope he got exiled out, and they kind of like build his story like that, and how he became a hunter and backstory. Like, he's one of those people that his backstory could be updated. Killmonger, perfect example. They brought him to the 21st century. Some characters need to be done that. Like Punisher, the Vietnam War that he was originally into, bringing him to a more updated war. You know, stuff like that, it have to be done, because the comics was wrote back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s in a different era where they had different things going on, what made it a different way. So now they have to change and update it. So with that being said, I would love to see Kraven the Hunter back in them. And with another Marvel game, I would love to see them bring out another Spider-Man video game. But this time, when you introduce the Spider-Man game, make it a part of the MCU. But matter of fact, or have your own. They don't have to be a part of the MCU. Make since Marvel is so known for this, a shared universe, they should make their video games a shared universe. So when you play one game, it connects to the next game. Even though they might be having separate things going on, but they should have a connection to each and every game, because this is what Marvel is known for, even with the comics. Like, you'll be reading the comic book, and you might see something, you fighting with Captain America, fighting with this person, or something going on, or matter of fact, Iron Man. So you see Iron Man shooting and flying, and he going by, and while he going by one way, all of a sudden you see Thor just flying by, and they may have a subtitle say, if you want to find out what Thor was doing around this time, go check out such and such, such and such. So once you go read that, and then that, when you read that, you might see something that's showing Iron Man going by on the other side, and they have a little description say, if you want to see what Iron Man was doing around this time, go check out this here. So they could do stuff like that where they have video games that connect with each other, and they would not be able to do that with it being exclusive to the PlayStation. So I think that's the real reason they will not renegotiate a video game deal with Sony that have anything to do with the MCU properties, to keep them from opening up their own video game industry. Well, I'm almost out of breath. I'm tired. This has been fun. I enjoyed myself. I had a couple of people that just kind of popped in and kind of messed up my video, but the party must go on. We're going to keep this thing going. And if you haven't heard, go check out all of the people that rock with me. Go to my channels. You'll see everybody channel, subscribe to this channel, like, put it out there. And if you Spider-Man fan, what do you think Spider-Man 3 title would be called? Well, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. This your boy Triple Cup Chuck, and I'm out. And remember, I don't do this for me. I do this for we. So like, subscribe, and holler at your boy. And don't forget to hit that like button. I'm at 1,000. Let's go ahead and get this thing going. And we're going to do some giveaways. We got to get it up there. I'm out.